Today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 years in business. I just hit 5 years, 2024, and I'm going to kind of go through and share some of the things that I've learned, some of the issues or the problems that I've made and run into, and mostly just try to encourage you that if you're thinking about starting business or if you have a business, we've all been here and we've all faced these kind of things. So let me just kind of start with how did my company, Flash Consulting, come about? So I was working at Atlantic Duck Cleaning. I was the director of business development, and I worked there for a year. And within that year, we transformed this company. We basically increased the profitability almost 3 times, and we grew the revenue and profits. And I still work with them to this day. And so we've had really good success working with them. So after a year, the owner was literally telling his friends, like, man, this guy's crushing it and he's a beast. And some of his friends were like, can you get us to go out to lunch, or can we pick his brain? And so we started going out to lunch. We went out to lunch with one of his friends. And then at that time I was making about like $70,000 or $80,000. And we were getting to the point where we were going to be like, hey, I've been making this huge impact. There's got to be some pay increase here, at least like, 100,000, something like that. Cause I saw the numbers and I knew that we were crushing it. So I knew that there was an opportunity to make more money in the business. And he said, well, maybe it would make sense if you were a consultant. And then let's say you had like 2 or 3 clients that you could spread out and maybe you charge them hourly. So let's say you have 3 clients and you charge them $50 an hour and you get 40 hours, for example. Well, then you can make $100,000. And so that was the premise. The owner actually named the company Flash Consulting. My name is Phil. My wife's name is Ash. So he said, Flash, Phil and Ash, put it together, Flash. And so I was like, okay, cool. That sounds great. And he actually introduced me to he was my first customer client. Then he introduced me to the next one, who was a carpet cleaning company. And then another one, which was a law firm. And so my first month in business, I had about 30-ish or so hours, and I was charging hourly and I was making a good amount of money. And I was basically trading my time for money, which this is the first issue that I ran into. When I got referred to the next person and I had 4 clients, I was maxed out. I had 40 hours into it and I was making, $100,000. But then, and I was content with that. I was fine with that. Then I got referred the next person. And what happened was when I got referred the next person, well, I didn't have any more hours ethically that I could give to them. And I was doing, I read a lot and trying to figure out what to do. So then I ended up productizing our service. What I did was I looked at what exactly do I do? What did I do to help this company actually grow? And what were the pillar things? If I could distill it down to maybe like 10 or 15 things that I did on a monthly basis or over a years long time frame that I could pinpoint and say, okay, if I do this, I know that I'll get this outcome. And what I did was I built a productized service, which is our Flash marketing team that we call it now. We only sell one thing, and it's our Flash marketing team. And inside of that marketing team, we do these core things that we know generate a return. But more importantly, it also is great for the customers. They all love it. So what I did was I built this system and I said, okay, what would I need other people to do and what can I do myself? And I went out and then I found a third-party company that we still work with to this day and in some capacity. And I said, hey, what I need you guys to do is this service, this service, and this service. When I bring on new clients, I'll pay you to do these services for them. And what my team's going to do, and me, it was just me at the time, I'm going to do these things over here. So let's say there's 100% revenue, $1,000 revenue, let's say. Well, let's say 300 of that's going to go over here. 300 of it's going to go to me. 15 of it's going to go to taxes. And then the other 15 is going to go to back-end support or something. That was kind of my premise going into it of how I was going to do this. So I went into that meeting. I sit down. I say, okay, here's our productized service. This is what I'm going to offer. We charge $2,500 a month for that. And he said, cool, when can we start? And I was like, I went out to my car and I said, let's go. Like I cracked the code on productized service. Clearly, it was my first time ever pitching it. And based off that referral that I got in there, it was go mode from there. Then I got referred to a couple more clients and I got to be a lot of work. And that's when I brought on my first team member. And this is Christine. She's just celebrated 4 years with us, actually. And she's awesome. She actually has her MBA and she's overseas. So she started with us 4 years ago when I was just kind of figuring it out. I read this book, 4 Hour Workweek, and they were talking about hiring virtual assistants. And I just needed someone to help me out because I literally was all over the place. I mean, I was organized and delivering good quality results, but it was I had a report that went out every single day at 7:15. I had other reports that always had to be run and just different things. So I said, Christine, I need your help. I need to figure out how I can systematize this, and maybe you can take some of this off my plate or streamline this in some way. And so that's exactly what we did. We started to build these processes, standard operating procedures, and those 10 or 15 things that we put in the productized service, I had her go through and build out standard operating procedures. Now, the SOPs and the processes have changed over time. We would use this platform, but then maybe we shifted over to this platform and that kind of thing. But she's been there along this entire journey, helping build these processes and standard operating procedures, having good communication. We meet on a weekly basis. It's been great. So since then, once I got to about 10 or 12 companies that we were working with, it was just Christine and I, and then a couple contractors in the background, and it got to be a lot of work. And then I brought on our first team member, which this team member was Kaylin. And I used to work with her actually at Enterprise in a long time ago. And she was a godsend because now when I was getting referrals or getting customers coming in from whatever different way, now I had another consultant that I could train and help get her up to speed and then start giving her clients to manage. And now she has clients. And so that was about 2 years into it. I got to that point. One of the big things that people always ask me is, well, how do you get customers? How do you get leads? I was fortunate that my last job was literally my first customer. But even on top of that, I joined a BNI networking group, which that helped me tremendously. It helped me get new clients. It helped me build confidence that what I was doing is helping people. And even still to this day, I'm in a BNI networking group because I have people that I can refer out, and then they can also refer me business, and we get referrals probably, I would say, like once a quarter or every couple months, we'll get a referral, and then hopefully eventually we'll close them. And then our team, the consultants on our team, we encourage them to join BNIs because that's how they get customers, and it grows from there. So BNI has been really good. Just referrals. The biggest thing that I found is if you do a really good job, eventually you're going to get referrals. So one example of that is we have a company that we worked with. We started in 2020, and then in 2023, they ended up selling their company. And about 4 or 5 key players went to other companies in the area because they sold and they basically left the company. Well, we got a referral from 4 of the 5 people, and we're starting to work with some of these people. And it just, the seeds grow from there because they say, hey, we used to work with this company over here and they were great. And then now they start to bring us in on those. And then it just continues to grow and grow and grow. The other thing that we've recently been doing is podcasting. And we do have a YouTube channel. And on the YouTube channel, it's a lot of good quality content specifically for industries, which we found to be very helpful. So people will say, hey, duct cleaning. Hey, carpet cleaning. Hey, whatever insert industry. And then they'll set up meetings with us because we're the subject matter experts when it comes to those specific industries. And then the podcasting side of things, since I've learned the heartburns of our customers pretty intimately, because obviously I was on the front, I was literally in their shoes when I was a director of business development, and I'm pretty intimate relationship with the old owner that I still talk to almost every single day. So I kind of know like what makes them tick, what keeps them up at night, how they talk, what they do. They read books, they listen to podcasts, they watch YouTube videos, they scroll LinkedIn. And so that's why I'm on those platforms utilizing them because that's where our target audience is. But more importantly, when I get on podcasts, I'm able to articulate and kind of this. They say, hey, this guy speaks my language because I get where they are at because I was in their shoes. So that's been a really good opportunity for us. We've gotten some good referrals and even good customers just out of that. So there's another thing that I learned over this 5 years, and that is this premise of who, not how. I talked about it in another episode, but who, not how has been transformational for me. It's a book by Dan Sullivan, which he didn't actually write it. He found a who. He didn't actually figure out how to write it. But regardless, he's the one that came up with the concept of who, not how. And one of the things that I learned when I first started, so obviously I talked about Christine. She's been amazing. But I've tried to hire other people. And what I found was it's much better to hire people that are experts or competent people that can take an idea and run with it, opposed to hiring minions and trying to teach them and manage them and people that don't have any experience. It's better to pay more, especially when you're starting out. It's better to pay more for experts than try to jam random pieces into your business because you're not going to get the outcome and you're just going to keep spinning your wheels. this is counterintuitive to what I used to think, which was, well, if I'm just starting the business, I don't have enough money to pay. But in reality, you don't have enough time to not pay, because what happens is the reason that 5 years is such a big milestone is because most businesses, I would say 80 or 90% of businesses, go out of business within 5 years. And so it's not necessarily about the money. It's more about the time. You basically have to break through the time barrier. And the reason the time barrier exists is because you have cash flow pinches when you're starting out. And we faced it as well. When you start out, the money that you have to be reinvesting it back in and building the business. And that could be through sales. That could be through doing a great job. That could be through productizing your service, so that way you can deliver the same level of service and building SOPs. But if you've ever started a business or you're running a business, you know that time is really the biggest crunch. Cash flow, your next payroll is coming up. And so by hiring experts, you get to the result faster, and you may spend more money, but you get to the results faster. And it can be hard. It can definitely be a challenge to pay more for something that you might be able to get for less. But those experts can then build the SOPs, the standard operating procedures in your business, and then maybe even train other people in your business. And it just helps you get ahead much faster. We found this with what we do, Flash Consulting. We're like a marketing team or marketing arm for businesses. A lot of times businesses that we work with are like 1 million to 10 million in revenue. They don't have the budget to hire a full-on marketing team for their business. Even just hiring a good marketing person is probably going to cost $100,000. Then you're going to have to layer in like a developer, someone that might know Google Ads or search ads, and some other components like technology. And so if we can offer that at a fraction of the cost, and we have a whole team, SOPs, tech stack, everything, it's very advantageous for them. Now, could they find someone cheaper and try to jerry rig this thing together and do it? I'm sure they could. But then again, you're wasting your time as a business owner, and you're literally doing how, and you're not asking who's there. So that's been the lessons over the last 5 years of things that I've learned. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you like content like this, it would really be helpful if you left us a review, if you share it, and we'll see you in the next episode.